What's going on with the housing market? Is the housing market in a bubble, and is that bubble starting to unwind before our eyes and pop? Well, article out the other day, yesterday, that as interest rates rise, inflation rises, the Sun Belt home builders are slashing prices. So as we've been talking about in several videos on this channel, there's been a huge migration to the Sun Belt areas of the country, the Arizona area, Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Atlanta. And as the U.S. grapples with rising inflation, the rapid uptick in interest rates has compelled home builders in the Sun Belt to make a bold move and slash prices. As I've discussed in a lot of my previous videos, the stress in the house market, the discounts in the housing market are going to show up first with new home builders because they have the ability to reduce prices the quickest and eliminate inventory, reduce their inventory. And they will do that as soon as they start seeing signs of stress. In Austin, new construction offerings with price cuts have quadrupled from a year ago. So we're seeing price reductions. We're seeing home builders pull back on starts and just try to get what they have done in the pipeline. So they're not looking forward to new starts right now. Home builder sentiment is down across the board. We're in a different place. The builder can no longer name a price and say, pay it or move along. So power is shifting back to the buyers. So that's good. That's refreshing news. I know a lot of people have been priced out of the market, been very frustrated. And if that is you, just be patient, give it a few months. It's not going to happen overnight. The housing market takes much more time to correct. The Fed came out and said, Jerome Powell said, we are watching the housing market closely. He knows it's a problem. He knows people are priced out of the market. He knows it's a bubble that needs correction. And there's a lot of debate about whether or not housing is in a bubble. And it is what it is. It's gone up exponentially according to interest rates. I've been talking about that. It's an affordability issue. People are buying payments. And, every market's different. This is all, obviously real estate's hyper local. It's all down to the state, the city, the block, the street, and the position on that street. So, every house is different. Every market's different. So this doesn't apply to everything, but it all starts in the most populated areas, just like it did in 2008 and 9, where home builders were overbuilding. In a lot of these same areas, inventory started stacking up. Now, we don't have that problem now. We do have a lot of construction in the pipeline and things like that. But traffic is down, interest rates are way up. So, the affordability has just been, of these homes has been damaged. So people just can't do it right now. And, there's a lot of contracts falling through, things like that. Redfin, obviously, the articles on Redfin, housing market completion dropped to a 15 housing market competition dropped to a 15-month low in May, meaning less bidders. Now, there might be some pockets in your market where there's still multiple offers and houses are still selling quickly, but it's not like it was. And we're coming into the summer months, which is generally slower anyways. You have record inflation. So the housing market is going to correct. And again, it takes time. Generally it takes about 6 months plus or minus for sellers to come around in the resale market. And there are going to be some people that just have to sell, and they're just going to, they'll take the haircut and move, because of whatever reason. Rents are the big thing to watch. Rents are going to be the next shoe to drop. That's going to be the next thing to correct, because with inflation where it's at, people are being stressed and pushed to the limits. And the first thing that goes is rent. If they can't pay their rent and the rent is being raised on them exponentially, they'll just stop paying. They'll stay in the house or the unit as long as they can, and then they'll move. So we're going to see, as the housing market corrects, values first, you will see the rental market correct. And it's just a trickle-down effect of the economy and what's going on, and the reset in financial assets that we're seeing across the board. So a really interesting time for housing. And just one thing to kind of help bring this into perspective. This is a chart of the mortgage interest rates. You've heard the stories of the double-digit 19% interest rates. My parents, when they were buying houses, this was back in 1981. I was living in, probably Florida, 19%. Back then when I was in middle school, elementary school years, their interest rate was around 19% for a mortgage. When I bought my first house, that was right here in this area. It was about 9.75%. Rates were around 10%. The peak of the housing market before the bust was 0405. Interest rates were 5-6% where they're at now. The problem is right here. It's been downhill ever since, and it's been record low in this 2% range. So that's what's really driven. You can see the inverse of this. Interest rates were going down this way. the housing market has been going up and to the right. This is the median sales price of homes in the United States. And you can see this little parabolic move here the last couple of years. In 2020, this only goes out to the first quarter of 2022. They don't have, June, which would be up here. It's continued up from there. But as you can see, interest rates down and to the right, housing values up and to the right, because houses are inversely correlated to or related to interest rates. Interest rates rise, housing values go down, interest rates go down, housing values go up. Works in the commercial market as well. And we're seeing the commercial market start to correct, and we're seeing signs of stress show up in correction in the commercial market as well. So from the perspective of a housing market, what are we looking at? Is a 2009 event in the cards possible? That was a different animal altogether. The mortgages are much healthier. The borrowers are much healthier. We will see transactions basically come to a screeching halt, which we've seen. You will see mortgage applications down, refinances will stop, which generally what stimulates the economy is people taking money out of their houses and spending that on things for improvements, items like boats, cars, college, things like that. So that's going to affect the recessionary environment that we're in. As the values of people's houses drop, they feel less wealthy, because a lot of the wealth out there right now is equity in houses and values in houses. And those are adjusting in real time pretty much daily. So that's going to have some effects as well as we go forward in terms of this cycle that we're in the correction. So inflation is a problem that's affecting people's ability to have discretionary income to spend extra on payments, extra on rents, things like that. And as people lose equity in their houses, they will feel less wealthy. We have the markets correcting as well, which is affecting people's mindset in terms of wealth and spending and things like that. So it's all cycles. Good times never last, bad times never last. We've been in a huge boom cycle. If you were one of the ones that ended up with a 2% plus or minus interest rate, then you've done very well. It's, we may or may not ever see rates there again. Don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what unfolds. Nobody knows for sure where the economy is going and what's happening. We do know that we are in recession, which is just negative GDP, right? That's just, we already had one print. We'll probably get a negative GDP again this next print. We're going to get a higher inflation print. We're going to see, again, the housing market will soften through the summer. As builders pull back, they have earnings coming out next week. So as the home builders pull back, we're going to see that affect jobs in the economy, which is actually going to be good. That'll be a good thing for construction, because prices will come down, more labor will be available as builders stop building to finish what's in the pipeline and to start new projects for people that are doing custom homes or whatever. This is mainly the production builders I'm talking about, big builders that are really feeling the impact. And again, it's just different markets. So those are the things I'm watching in the markets. Make sure if you're looking for a house, whether it's investment, permanent home situation, whatever it is, just be patient. The market will continue to correct. Values will continue to come down. You will have more options. There'll be more inventory stacking up. So what you want to watch is the inventory, how many houses are on the market. You want to watch what's under contract. How long were they on the market before they went under contract? How many are selling? How long were they on the market before they sold? What did they sell for? Asking price to sales price. And Zillow will show you all that information, and you can set up alerts on Zillow so you can look for price reductions. And we're seeing huge price reductions across the board, because a lot of people were putting pie in the sky numbers on their houses, and they're way late to the party. And that generally happens. I don't know why, but generally people will catch the cycle late and start listing their houses. So you're going to see a lot of people put houses on the market at very high numbers still, because it takes time for that psychology to sink in and reality to sink in, for a lot of sellers. They just see what the neighbor down the street sold when interest rates were 2.5%. They're not looking at what does that mean today with interest rates and real payments today. So it takes time. So be patient. Good times never last. Bad times never last. It's all cycles, peaks and valleys. We're in uncertain times with the war in Ukraine and potential for escalation globally. We've got recession on our hands globally. This is a global situation. We've got record inflation globally. That is a global situation again. It's not just the United States. So a lot of stuff to work through out there. It's not going to happen overnight, and the Fed is just getting started. So we're going to see rates continue to rise. We're going to see housing markets continue to correct, as well as the financial market. So these are the things I am watching in the housing market. I'll see you in the next video.